Outtakes.
Yeah, that's true, huh?
Hi, thank you for joining us, Mr. Balderson. So, tell us a
Thanks
little
for
bit
having
about your perspective during the mortgage crisis. Did you see it coming? Did you notice the housing bubble begin to form?
I was working in mortgages for Chase Manhattan Bank at the time, lending money for people that wanted to buy homes. And before the recession of 2008, I remember thinking to myself how easy it was for people to get mortgages, especially the subprime market, people that didn't have great credit, and how easy it was to get credit, to get loans for homes. So in that respect, I did see it coming in a way. I didn't realize the extent of it and what would happen to the housing bubble or the direct change in mortgages from the subprime market to now how difficult it is to actually get credit.
Mm-hmm. And do you remember the aftermath of the crisis and how it affected you and people around?
I do remember the crash in 2008. In 2007, the stock market was doing fairly well. It was around 14,000, and then within a 2-year time period, it lost 54% of its value to 6,000 and change. $11 trillion was lost during that time frame. There was a lot of people that lost their jobs, including me. I got out of the mortgage lending business. A lot of people lost their retirement funds, and a lot of people were affected. Over 1 million people were in foreclosures. So a lot of people were affected, and it did have an effect on the economy in America.
Mm-hmm. In your personal opinion, what do you think was the main contributor to the mortgage crisis?
I think the ease of getting credit and the popularity of mortgage-backed securities and derivatives, that there was a demand for mortgages. So banks were lending to people for homes that didn't really deserve to get those loans.
Mm-hmm.
There was a whole subprime market where targeting people that didn't have perfect credit, and the ease of getting money drove up home values, and I think was the major contributor of the mortgage crisis.
Okay. Do you think that as a country we've recovered from it completely? Do you think we've learned from the mistakes of the past?
Well, we've definitely recovered from the lows of 2008 when we hit the rock bottom. The stock market the Dow was around in the mid 6,000s. Now, obviously, we've recovered substantially since then. In fact, in 2013, those that did not panic during the recession have recovered. The recovery point was around 2013. Now we're much higher in the stock markets, and it's been a very bullish market ever since the recession. So in terms of money that was lost during the recession, yes, we've recovered from that. Have we learned from our mistakes? Yeah, I do think there's more government regulation and overseeing lending practices.
Do you think the banks should be more skeptical or more trusting?
I think people did lose confidence in our banking system. I think the banks got bailed out. In hindsight, it was a good decision, but at that time, it was the philosophy was these large institutions are too big to fail. That if these large institutions fail, it will have a major effect on the economy. And I think people at that time were, well, how are these large institutions being bailed out, but the smaller guy isn't? So I do think there was some lack of confidence in the banking system. And with regulation and the lending practices of today, I believe we are recovering from that.
How is the federal government taking steps to avoid this from happening again?
I think there is much more regulation. They realize that no one could be too big to fail, and primarily regulation in the mortgage industry, I think, is the primary reasons of how they are dealing with this so it doesn't happen again.
Mhm. And despite this government regulation, do you think there's a chance of this happening within like the near future?
Very few people saw the recession of 2008 happening. I guess anything is possible, maybe not with mortgages, but maybe in a different financial product. There are a lot of different financial derivatives out there that people don't fully understand that are purchasing these derivatives, and therefore, anytime there's products out there that are sold to people that they don't quite understand, I think there is a risk that some bad things could happen.
Mhm. Do you anticipate any more far-reaching reforms from the government?
Not that I could see in the near future.
Okay. So you think they've done like all that they can for now?
I really haven't been following the different government regulations in terms of the financial markets. I'm not sure.
Thank you. Do you think the United States people as a whole has lost trust in the economy?
I think back in 2008 when the stock market did take a nosedive and it was very bearish for the period from 2007 to 2009. Yes, I think they lost confidence in the financial system. With the government regulations that have been put in place and the recovery, I think that the confidence, Americans are more confident in the banking system.
Mhm. And finally, do you think that the banks themselves have learned from their mistakes and stopped this predatory lending?
Predatory lending was convincing people to buy products that they either didn't need or didn't fully understand. I do believe there will always be greed, and there will be companies out there that will try to make a buck at any cost. Have they learned from their mistakes? I guess Americans or our economy has learned from the recession, but will there be products out there strictly for a profit motive? Yeah, I think that there will always be a case for that, and greed will persuade people to do things that perhaps are unethical and shouldn't happen.
Mhm. All right, thank you for your time.